What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Bryan Drake Show podcast, the magic podcast for magicians by magicians. I'm your host, Bryan. This is my co-host, the Scarlet Witch to my Quicksilver, Carla B. Drake.
I'm your sister?
No, I should clarify. That's not what I mean. I meant the only male-female characters who weren't Black Widow, because you don't particularly like Black Widow, and Scarlet Witch was pretty cool. So
I could recast Captain America, and I can be Captain America.
You can be Captain America. Well, that's good enough. So today, diving right into the main topic, because Carla had a scary dream last night. No, it didn't involve clowns or anything like that. She's not afraid of clowns, because clowns are stupid. She's afraid of snakes, actually. But we were watching the Carbonaro Effect last night. It's a pretty funny show if you haven't watched it. This is the show that lay people are watching for magic. You know, used to be Chris Angel and David Blaine. Now it's the Carbonaro Effect. But we were watching that last night, and he did an effect where he had a shaved, hairless Egyptian cat come out of a box, and it freaked this woman out. She was just so scared. So I don't know if this had anything to do with Carla's nightmare or not, but
no,
it was.
It didn't, because that was 2 nights ago that we were watching that one.
I think it was last night, actually.
No, it was 2 days ago.
Oh, whatever. Either way. And Carla had a nightmare. Tell us about this nightmare you have. It's a recurring nightmare that I also have that we'll talk about. Tell them about it. So I should say the main topic is fear. Fear in magic, all things fearful.
Should your show be scary?
Should your show be scary? That's one thing to talk about. But tell us about this dream you had, because I have it too. It's funny.
I wasn't actually talking about, like, performing.
No, I know you didn't mean fearful performing, but tell us about what you dreamed about.
I dreamed our show was scary.
I'm sorry. Did you dream that we had clowns and snakes and
I'm
spiders?
not afraid of clowns.
Okay, what did you dream about there? What was scary about our show?
In my dream last night, this is a recurring nightmare I have. And it's just like when I was working at the bank, I would have bad dreams about just waiting on customers. That would be my dream. That was not restful sleep. And also when I was teaching, I would be giving tests. And now that I am a magician, I have nightmares about things going wrong in our show. For example, we get to the venue, and it's a horrible venue. And for some reason, we didn't get there a couple hours early. We got there right when it's time to walk on stage. And guess what? We didn't bring any of our props.
So what we do?
We took forever, and we let people stand up and sing. And
usually when this dream happens, because you tell me about it when you have this dream all the time, it usually involves me messing around at the front of the stage, talking to audience members and not getting started, right? You get so mad at me usually because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Exactly. And I also couldn't find the main thing you needed for that trick.
Just a random trick, or just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It stressed me out so bad.
I had this dream just the other night, actually. I was on stage and something wasn't there. You weren't there. And I had to go back off stage and get it. Well, I had to go off stage, run upstairs through the non-existent fly space, run across this big gaff scaffolding stuff to get this stupid prop. By the time I got back, the audience was gone. These are the kind of idiotic dreams we have.
Well, during your closer in my dream last night, the audience was leaving because it had taken you like 3 hours to do 3 tricks. I think my entire night last night was spent on this one dream.
It was a pretty bad dream, it sounds like.
Oh my Lord, it wouldn't end. And like sometimes you know that you're dreaming. Apparently my body didn't get that memo.
You couldn't tell?
And I just couldn't wake up from it.
Well, to be fair, I have had audience members leave back in the past, which is now one of my biggest fears. That years and years ago, like second show ever, Montgomery, the same show where the window got busted out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was also after like a 2.5 hour thing before that. But still, to the point, that's my biggest fear now, is a non-enjoyable audience. Like, they're not enjoying it. So, fear. Fear is one of the things we wanted to talk about. Not being afraid of things on stage, or maybe that is something. Are you afraid to do any effects? What kind of things are you afraid of when it comes to performing?
Ooh, ask me.
What are you afraid of when it comes to performing?
Talking.
That is actually what I put on my list for you. I was hoping you'd bring it up. Carla, you may get the idea.
Don't make me a list.
No, I didn't make you a list. I made up some show notes that we don't ever follow. You may not know this about Carla just because she talks on the podcast, but she does not speak on stage. Not in a teller sort of way, but...
And if you put a mic in front of me on stage, I will become a deer in headlights.
Just stare at you like totally,
I'm an idiot. Like my voice stops working.
Totally. She's like Ariel when she loses her fin.
Her voice.
But she loses the voice too, but I didn't want to just say Ariel when she loses. You're like Ariel.
She doesn't really lose her fin. She chooses.
It's not there when she's eating dinner with Eric.
Yes, because she chose to become a human and give up her voice.
Fins.
Voice.
Anyway, point being, Karla is absolutely mortified by the idea of talking on stage. I'm trying to get her to. There's this new mentalism routine. That's something else I want to talk about in a minute. It'll be next week's episode, but Karla's mortified of talking on stage, so much so that I'm trying to get her to speak at least one word in this new routine we're doing. And that
I don't understand why I can't just draw it.
Because the type of routine is really tough to get her not to say a stinking word on stage. It shocks me when she says something loud enough where the audience member can even hear it.
It's usually because my cast member.
Who are you talking?
I don't know. We were going Disney for a second. So, I mean, my audience member is not obeying.
That's true. So you have to speak to them then. So your biggest fear would be speaking. My biggest fear probably on stage, besides the things we've covered before of like not being ready, is in effect not going quite right.
Oh, like the time I was bringing you a Coke can for you to fill up, and I dropped it, and wow, it was already full, huh?
So we're doing Healed and Sealed on stage, the Anders Mode trick, and you know, if you know the trick, you know how it's prepped and all that kind of stuff. Well, I hear clang in the back, and I look over, and there's a Coke can sitting on the floor, and I'm like, well.
This is on stage in front of like 500 people, so.
Yeah, this isn't good. So we just kind of roll past it. Nobody really noticed it was there, thankfully. But then all of a sudden I see in front of my feet a script.
That's a lie. That was not in front of your feet. Don't even make that
up. Okay, you didn't give it to me, but I saw what she was writing backstage to cover. Karla is a very good writer, by the way. It's something she won't talk about herself. This was not her best work, the script. You're mad at me, I can tell, but this is a funny story. It was something to the effect of...
Shut up. Okay, don't even.
I won't even tell you. But Karla's biggest fear is talking and things like that going wrong. Me, for instance, and this kind of is one of the things that branches into how to fix your fears on stage. My biggest fear is something not working, and I don't mean like missing the wrong card for a force. I'm talking about like... Let's say you're doing a dual reality trick, something like a PK touches or something to that effect. Those put me on so much edge. I mean, one of the things about our show now that we've done, and Karla's really done a good job of, is what is the kind of the key thing about each and every one of our tricks for the most part?
They're all fail-proof.
They're all fail-proof. Yes, in the big scheme, they could something could go wrong.
Unless we have a really dumb... No, that's not nice. A really... bad audience member who doesn't follow instructions.
Yeah, but even then, most like the let's say our news prediction, floating table, things like that. Which floating table, unfortunately, is going out of the show. But
how about the girl who said, "So you want me to do this when you do that?"
Yeah, when you're talking about a dual reality trick that involves someone not speaking, it really doesn't help when they start talking, asking questions about what they're supposed to do, because then you kind of lose a little bit of the effect. So I had to kind of just shut her up and roll past real fast without the audience knowing. But so that's the thing, is this idea of, like, let's say a PK touch. And when you say, okay, did you feel anything? Did you experience any sensation? And the person is just sitting on stage shaking their head no, and you're like, well, don't know what I'm going to do now. So then you kind of...
Or when you force a card on them, and all the cards are like 3 of hearts. This is just an example. We don't do this. And they... somehow don't have the 3 of hearts, even though they did, because they forgot their card.
It is impossible for them to not have the 3 of hearts. Well, for instance, here's a tip. I know a lot of guys do toss that deck.
That's kind of a fear we have.
Here's a tip with tossed out deck. It has to do with this because it's happened to me before. If you're doing the rubber banded version of tossed out deck, which I don't recommend you do really, but we've talked about that before, make sure they don't peek at the top left corner. I know that sounds pretty self-explanatory, but if they do, you would think they would look at the other corner and go, oh, nope, that one's blank. I'll pick a different corner and memorize a card. Guess what they do?
They just don't get a card.
They don't get a card and say, mine was blank. There are no blank cards in the deck, so it makes you feel like a fool when they do that. So these are all random fears that we have. The idea of talking, the idea of some people just being in front of people. For instance, you might be a magician, somebody who loves to do magic, and absolutely be terrified of being in front of people. You know what the cure for that is? Now, in Karla's case, she's lucky because she has me to talk. So she doesn't have to worry about this. But somebody who wants to be a magician and aspires to be a magician and doesn't like being in front of people, what's the only cure?
Quit.
Oh, man. That is the brutal, honest advice of Karla.
Just kidding.
No, the idea is do it. You get out there and do it. You hate yourself doing it. You absolutely hate the feeling of being on stage in front of people. You hate.
See what he's doing here? He's trying to get me to talk on stage through this.
I'm not at all. I had to do a conference for this organization that we're partnering with, and it happened that it was a communications lab. It was a public speaking conference, but I was there for a kind of a different reason. But I went through and listened to the classes anyway, and the things I learned about my own presentation style, even though I quote unquote learned this stuff in college and public speaking, just the little things, learning how to hold your hands by your side every once in a while, don't constantly keep your hands moving. Don't, stand up straight, all the little basic things that we kind of take for granted. Use variation in your voice. Don't be the same pitch the entire time, the same speed the entire time. Use some variety.
They can't see you.
Maybe in tone, maybe in speed, all these different things. So these are things to practice being in front of people.
Well, wasn't it really nerve-wracking that you had to give an entire pattern in front of
two dudes? Yeah.
Whenever you're used to giving it in front of hundreds?
Yeah, that was not fun. This was actually a fear of mine. I had to give my, you guys know we do a lot of work, all of our work pretty much is churches and evangelism stuff, so I had to give a gospel presentation in front of two dudes who were experts at critiquing things like that. And so it was the presentation I give in 1,000-person audiences, but it was two guys in a room, so it was absolutely nerve-wracking. Another fear, let's say, for instance, this thing we're talking about with the dual reality. Maybe you're not confident in an effect not working. Don't put it on stage then. That's one way to overcome that fear. Don't put an effect on stage if it's not ready. And I don't mean not ready in the sense of you haven't practiced enough.
We haven't done our metamorphosis in 2 years, not because it's not good. One, because I was pregnant in the middle of that. But
that kind of hurts it, yeah.
But why do we want to do something that could fail?
Yeah. It is definitely a good result. People still ask us about it. But then the other thing with metamorphosis, you get into everybody does it, blah, 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 that kind of deal. But yeah, it was nerve-wracking. Everything else that supposedly looked dangerous, such as a knife roulette, is nothing compared to metamorphosis, which is physically dangerous, which is explosion dangerous, all that kind of stuff.
And some people might have the fear of hurting someone on stage. Well, like the guy where the magic tricks go badly.
Best video ever.
Best solution?
Don't use an audience member?
Well, you can use an audience member, but don't use their hand for the roulette.
So Google these words, magic gone wrong. I think that's what it comes up under. Anyway, the number one video is a guy doing a nail under cup roulette, and he's holding the audience member's hand in using their hand to do it. And he is confident that he's got the right choice. He misses, and he puts a nail through both of their hands together.
See, with our knife routine, if somebody's hand goes through it, it's yours.
It's my hand. I can live if my hand goes through it.
So
don't make an audience. What?
Don't make an audience member do it.
That is true to say. So yeah, don't do it with an audience member. So kind of to wrap up some of these ideas, some of these fears that you have in magic. Think about some of the fears you have. Shoot us a message at Bryan@BryanDrakeShow.com or info@BryanDrakeShow.com, Twitter BryanDrakeShow, Instagram.
Yes, but what if, magic tip of the day, what if the trick is tanking? That is a fear. What if your fear is realized and the trick just isn't going to come off? Okay,
so let's go to a PK touch routine. This is a good example of a trick that can easily go wrong. It's strong magic when it works, but it can go wrong, and it's not 100%. You say, okay, I tapped them on the shoulder. What do I do now? They're not responding. What do you do, Carl? Do you know? You never been in that situation? I've done it before where
everything I do works out. Like dropping a Coke can.
Nobody even noticed. You roll with it into something else. Like you can make PK touch, and this is why I recommend doing PK touch as something else and not just a piece by itself, unless you're 100% confident in it. You roll into something else. If you've got two people on stage, you roll into a connection test. Do a freaking card force or something like that where you force a card between two people. Just make something out of it where, okay, the connection part didn't work, quote unquote, which is your actual PK touch routine. That didn't work. Boom, you roll into something else immediately, like even something simple. But now, honestly, you've got an added bonus of having all this extra stuff behind it of, whoa, what is he doing with this connection test or whatever between these two people. So even if you do just a card force, you've got an effect on your hand that has some background and some character to it, even though the character is actually a botched trick. So that's one way to get around it. What's another way to get around? That's pretty much it. I mean, just be ready. be ready for any kind
Well,
of...
you could do like the guy who slammed the girl's hand through. Sometimes magic doesn't always work.
Takes a bow at the front of the stage. It's amazing. Go watch this video. Maybe I'll find the video and I'll put it in the show notes so you can look at it here. It's hilarious. But I think that does it for this week. Fear in magic. Those are some of the things we're afraid of. Hopefully we won't have one of those stupid dreams tonight.
Yeah, I hate those dreams.
I hate it. I used to.
They never end.
No, they never end until you wake up, and it's awful.
I mean, what part of your brain says, hey, let me dream about work?
When I used to wait tables, I would imagine myself at home sitting on the couch eating dinner or something, and then realize, oh, crud, I left the table sitting there. So it happened then. It still happens now, and it's absolutely terrible. So that leaves us on a dour note. Check us next week or whenever we do another podcast at info@BryanDrakeShow.com. Shoot us your questions. Shoot us your fears, how you overcome your fears. Also, let us know some people you would like us to interview for the show. We'd love to get some people on here through Skype, do some Skype interviews, and get this thing crack-a-lacking. Yeah, I just said that. No, I didn't just say that.
No, we didn't.
But get it going for the summer since we've got some time to do some more podcasts this summer. So,
Well, just for now.
just for now. That's true because July comes and we're home very little. So, that's all for this week. Check us out next time. BryanDrakeShow.com. This has been a Bryan Drake Show production. For more information, check out BryanDrakeShow.com.